Hi everybody, welcome back to the art studio. This is Sensei Cabs coming at you. We are into 2-point perspective today. We're going to intro 2-point perspective today. A little more complicated, a little more fun than 1 point. If you learned your 1 point, now you're ready for 2-point. All right, so here we go. Now, just to review how this is going to work, I'm going to give you 5 or 6 days worth of instruction on 2-point perspective. And then I want you to create your own design, all right? So we're going to take everything we learned from 1 point, we're going to build on it, right? All right? So just like we did before, we're going to start with some boxes like in 1 point. Remember, vertical, horizontal, vanishing point. We're going to start with some basics, and then we're going to build up to something like that, right? There's our 1 point drawing, our final 1 point drawing that I did, okay? All right, so just to review that, if you know 1 point, you're ready for 2, okay? Now here we go. Start you off with a joke first, though, people. How much money does a skunk have? How much money does a skunk have? 1 cent. Corny. Okay. All right. Here we go. 2-point perspective. All right, I'm just going to write that down up here. 2-point perspective. Now, oops, almost spelled it wrong. In 2-point perspective, you are going to have 2 vanishing points. So you're going to have 2 vanishing points. And there's only 2 kinds of lines. I'm just going to write that down in some notes at the top. Hopefully that won't get in the way of our drawing, but I want to have that on screen for the whole session today, so everybody remembers. There's 2 vanishing points and there's 2 kinds of lines. Okay, now to start off, we're going to start off with a horizon line, and then I'm going to show you how to do the vanishing points. So just like we did in 1 point, we're going to have a nice straight horizon line across the center of our page. Okay, so remember how to do that. Use the edges of your paper as a guide for where you need to be. All right, so I am going to put in my horizon line. And you might be running into the same problem that I'm running into. My ruler isn't long enough to cover this whole piece of paper. So I'm just going to slide the ruler over, continue the line, slide the ruler over, and line it up on the line so it's nice and straight, and continue that horizon line right off the page. What I want you to do from 2-point perspective is always use a wide piece of paper. The widest piece of paper you have. I've got a pretty big sheet of page here. If you don't have a big page like this, you probably don't, just take your paper and turn it sideways, wide ways, okay? Because our vanishing points that we're about to set up, we need them as far out on the edges as possible. So a wide piece of paper works best. And actually, when I was in art college, what we had to do was, I don't know if you can see this on screen or not, hopefully you can, we'd have to tape pieces of paper onto the sides of our paper and put our vanishing points far out. So we're not going to do that, but that's how far out we want to make these. Okay, so the vanishing points, in 2-point, you don't get to choose where they are, okay? For now, we're going to keep them, everybody's going to have them the same, okay? You want to get a little fancy later on and break some of the rules like we did before, sure. But for now, we're going to keep them all the same. So what you do is you put your vanishing point all the way to the farthest edge you possibly can, okay? So way over here on this edge here, and way over here on this edge here, on the horizon line, I'm going to put a vanishing point here, and I'm going to put another vanishing point way over here, okay? They have to be on the horizon line, and they have to be like touch the edge of your page. Now, again, I make mine ridiculously big just so everybody out there can see them, okay? You want to make yours tiny little dot. Only you know where they are, okay? And I'm actually going to label these. I'm going to call this one VP1. This little guy over here is VP1, Vanishing Point 1. And I'm going to call this guy Vanishing Point 2. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. But for teaching purposes, it's just easier for me to say, hey, go to 2, go to 1, whatever, okay? You don't have to do that. But just so you know, when I say VP1, I'm talking about this guy over here. VP2 is over here, all right? Okay, so in 2-point, what we're going to try to make things look 3D, but instead of looking at a box straight on, we're going to be looking at it so it's like twisted, so you're looking at the corner. So the corner of the box is going to pop out towards us, okay? So instead of starting off with a square or a rectangle, I'm just going to start off with a vertical line, okay? So what I'm going to do is somewhere down in here, I'm going to draw a vertical line. I'm just going to make a couple, I'm going to make it 2.5 inches long. You can make yours any size you want. Again, you just does not have to look exactly like mine, but I want you to learn the process and learn the technique. So there's my vertical line. Okay. In 2-point perspective, there are only 2 kinds of lines that you can draw. You can draw vertical lines and you can draw perspective lines. And that's it. Okay. Now, if you've been paying attention, you might be thinking to yourself, hey, Mr. C, wait a second. You just drew a horizontal line across the middle here. The horizon line is horizontal. You are correct. But it is also a perspective line because this line goes to my vanishing point. Remember, any line that recedes or goes to my vanishing point is a perspective line. So yes, technically this is a horizontal, but it is also a perspective line. It is the only place on my drawing where it's perfectly horizontal, okay? So yes, you may have a line that is matching your horizon line. It will be horizontal, but other than that, there's no horizontals, okay? So here we go. Now, this vertical line that I drew, I am going to look at the top and bottom of that line for where to draw to the vanishing point. Just like we did with the corners of the box in 1 point. Instead of corners of the box, you're doing the top and bottom of a line now, okay? So that's why some kids say that maybe 2 points a little easier. Okay, so now you'll notice that this is very awkward for me to do this line because I'm twisting my hand like this. You can spin your paper sideways. Work on your drawing upside down, sideways, whatever you want to do. I am not going to do that because I got my drawing taped down so everybody out there can see what I'm doing. But now I'm going to draw from the top of that line to my vanishing point. Just like in 1 point, right? Now I'm going to do the bottom of the line. I'm going to go to the bottom of the line and I'm going to draw to the vanishing point. Again, you want to make these light. I'm drawing them a little darker so everybody can see what I'm doing, so it shows up on camera. But you want to make those as light as you can because you're going to do some erasing today. A lot of erasing in perspective drawing because you got to draw lines that go to the vanishing point, but then you don't want to always have them show all the way to the vanishing point. And eventually we're going to try to make this look like a box, so I am going to erase some of this. So keep your lines light, okay? All right, so far, nothing really new. We drew a line, we drew some lines to the vanishing point, piece of cake. But now we got to look at vanishing point 2, okay? So vanishing point 2 over here, we're going to draw lines to vanishing point 2 now, okay? So from the bottom to the top of this line to vanishing point 2 now. And again, I'm using a ruler. If you don't have a ruler, use a chunk of cardboard. Use the edge of a book, whatever you got, okay? Anything straight. Looks like I missed my line just a little bit here. I gotta be real careful. I want this to look really nice. There you go. A little off there, okay? You know what? I'm gonna erase that. I want this to really look good. And you can see that since I'm drawing so dark that I really have to erase that a lot to get that off there. And actually, I can still see it a little bit. So make sure you're drawing light. I'm gonna try that again. Again, if you gotta be real careful in perspective drawing because any little mistake will throw off that illusion. And people will start to notice, oh, it doesn't really look 3D. I see some mistakes. So you don't want to throw off the illusion. There, that looks a little better. Okay, now, what I want you to start to imagine, now we got some triangle, long triangle shapes here. But what I want you to imagine is that this is like a wall. And I'm walking down the street along the wall. I get to the corner, and this is the corner. And I turn the corner, and I can walk down the street this way. And about a mile or two this way, about a mile or two this way. It's like a wall, okay? Nothing else. We got a horizon. It's in the middle of nowhere, out in the desert. We got the horizon line, the sky, and this wall here, all right? You can see that you're on your way to learning more about perspective. Okay, so we're going to try to turn this into a box. Start with the boxes just like we did with 1 point. So we're going to turn this into a box. Okay, so what I'm going to do is somewhere over in this area, I'm going to draw a vertical line. And somewhere over in this area, I'm going to draw a vertical line. And I'm going to make mine, try to make mine kind of like a cube. So I'm going to make this about here. There's my vertical. I'm looking at this vertical. I'm looking at the side of my page as a guide. Slide over a little bit here. And in this section over here, do the same thing. Okay, so far, no problem. Vertical, vertical, vertical. Now we got to look at perspective. Let's start with this one. This line over here, this line over here, we want to look at vanishing point 1. Okay, so vanishing point 1, we can draw a line from here back to the vanishing point. From here back to the vanishing point. It's already there. So I don't even have to do anything to vanishing point 1. That's done, okay? But I want to check this line to vanishing point 2. Remember, 2 point, we got to always look at both vanishing points. So now, from the top of the line, it looks like I could draw a line all the way back to vanishing point 2. Okay, great. So I'm going to draw a nice light line in here. And there it is, okay? From the bottom, I'm not going to draw this line because it cuts through the box that I'm trying to draw. Again, as you practice this and get better at this, you'll know, you'll start to sense, and you'll train your eye to know when to draw a line and when not to draw a line, okay? So I'm not going to draw this line through here because then it would cut through the box and make the box look see-through. At the end of this video, I'll show you some more advanced things, but for now, we're going to leave that corner alone. We did it to 1 already. We're not going to do it to 2. That's the biggest challenge when you're doing perspective drawing. When to draw a vertical, when to draw a horizontal, when to draw a perspective line, when not to, when to stop a line, stuff like that, okay? So we're not going to do anything to this line. All right, that side's done. Let's go over to this side of the cube. Let's look at this line. All right, vanishing point 2, the lines are already there. So we don't have to do anything there. And vanishing point 1 we got to look at now. Now it looks like I could draw a line across this way. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Very carefully from the top of that line all the way back to vanishing point 1. Bottom of this vertical, I am not going to do anything because it's going to cut through the cube. I'm trying to make like a big concrete block or a big wooden block or a building or something. So I don't want to draw this line because it would make the building look see-through. So I'm going to leave that alone. Okay, I'm not going to do anything there. And there is your first 2-point perspective cube. Okay, if I take away these guidelines, and as you get better at this and practice at this, you'll start to know, like, oh, okay, as soon as I line up my ruler, I'm not going to draw all the way back to the vanishing point because I'm going to have to erase that anyways. You just draw what you need. But that takes some practice. It takes some practice. Okay, so there it is. That's our first 2-point perspective cube. Okay, now I'm just going to darken up this line a little bit. I kind of erased it a little bit. I'm going to darken this up just a bit there. And I'm going to darken this up here. So you can really see what I'm doing. I'm not going to pull out my Sharpie today. I'm going to keep it all in pencil today. So there's the top of the cube. Front side and front side. We can see 2 sides. Can't see the bottom. We can't see through it. Can't see the back corners either. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3. The back side here, and the bottom we can't see. Okay, so there's the cube. All right. Now, I want to give it a little bit of shading, make it look good. Remember what to do. I'm trying to make this look straight up and down. So my shading lines go straight up and down. I'm not going to go too crazy. I'm just going to put a little bit here. And this is straight up and down. I want to make it look straight up and down, so draw it straight up and down. I want to make it look like a wall. So lines are going up and down. And again, if you want to turn your paper crooked or sideways or upside down so you can do your shading a little easier, you go for it. Just add a little shading. Okay, now, I want to make the top look flat. In 1 point, that was easy. You did horizontal lines. You guys did a nice job with that. We did the sidewalks and all that stuff. But and remember, no horizontal lines in this system. So I'm going to pick I can pick this one or this one or this one or this one as what my flat line's going to be. Any of those four you can pick. I'm going to pick this one. So I'm going to have my lines going flat across that way. And as I get closer to this one, I'm going to start to make them look like this one. Basically what I'm doing right now is a whole bunch of perspective lines to make that top look flat. Over here, they kind of match this one, and they change a little bit at a time to match up with that one, okay? That's how you're gonna make things look flat, because you can't do horizontals. So you gotta actually use perspective lines to make it look flat. So that's supposed to look flat across the top. That's supposed to look like a wall going up and down. I'm gonna use my finger and smudge off just the little edges, so it looks like they're blended pretty good. And that is how you do a cube, okay? Now, it's below our eye level line. It's below our horizon line, so I can see the top of the box. It's like laying on the ground. I'm about 10 feet away from this giant concrete block. I can see the top of it because it's only about 3 feet tall. I'm about 6 feet tall. I can see the top of it. Above my eye level line, though, up here, we're gonna have a concrete block that's magic. Yoda's around using the force. You can float it up into the air. It's gonna be above my head. So I'm gonna be able to see the bottom of it and not the top, all right? So I'm gonna use the same rules and the same technique. I'm gonna start with a vertical line. Start with a vertical line. And again, you can make yours kind of anywhere you want or as big as you want. I'm gonna make this pretty big. Okay, there's my vertical line. Now, vanishing point 1 to the bottom of the line. Vanishing point 1 to the top of the line. And remember, it's 2 points, so we got to do both vanishing points. Vanishing point 2 and vanishing point 2. Okay. Okay, now we're gonna decide where we're gonna make this into a cube, and I'm gonna try to make kind of a tall, skinny one. So I'm just gonna go about here, a vertical, and I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side about here. Nice vertical line there, okay? Two vertical lines. All right, now, you know what to do now. We're gonna look at each one. Let's start with this one. We check, okay? I already drew the line. The lines are already there. Going back to vanishing point 1, so I don't have to do anything. But I gotta go to vanishing point 2 too. Now at the top, if I draw it, it's gonna cut through the box, so we're gonna leave that alone for now. Looks like the bottom I can draw a line. I'm gonna line up my ruler. I'm gonna draw that right through. You might, once in a while, get into a spot where your ruler's not long enough. So you're gonna draw a little bit of the line and slide your ruler over and finish it off, okay? Okay, so that's done. I went to vanishing point 1, I went to vanishing point 2, we checked it. All right, this line, I gotta check it. Vanishing point 2, done already. Vanishing point 1, I'm not gonna do that one because it will cut through my cube, but I could do the bottom. So here we go. And right on through to vanishing point 1. This is an important place right here where these guys crisscross. That's important because that's the back corner of the box. So you can see that here too, right here. That's an important place because that's the back corner, okay? So it's right there. And there is my cube up in the air. If I take away the guidelines, remember, draw a light so you can erase. Take away some of these guides. Keep your drawing light so you can get a good erase on them. You don't want people to see those guidelines, okay? And there we have a cube that's up in the sky. Shading. I want this to look tall, like a wall. So I'm going to use lines that go up and down. Verticals are pretty easy, okay? Verticals don't change. Verticals are always vertical. It's right up and down. Here's the other side. It's going to also be up and down. Just doing a little shading. Straight up and down. The bottom, down in here, again, you got to pick one of these perspective lines to copy. I'm going to look at this one. I copy that across. As I get closer and closer to this one, I start copying that one. I'm making this pretty dark because it would be a shadow under there. No light would get under there. I don't like that little dark spot on that corner. I'm going to have to redo that corner. So we got this line here. We got this line here. I'm darken this up too. Here. Here. Okay. And there you have it. I made that a little darker just to make it look like it's got like a little bit of a shadow underneath the box, okay? So that's the back, that corner back in there. We won't see the vertical in there because it's back behind. Again, this is solid chunk of a building or a concrete or something. And again, I know it doesn't make sense to have a block floating in the sky, but we're just kind of learning some of the basics, okay? You might notice that this shape is a little flatter or squished compared to this one because I got a little close to my horizon line here, and it gets flatter and flatter as we get closer to the horizon line. The further out I get, the bigger this gets. So if I would have drawn this shape in here, this would have been a lot flatter too. All the way till you get to the horizon line, it's absolutely flat. Okay, so I'm just going to throw a little ground in there, a little shading. Make it look like it's up on the ground. Okay, so as promised, I said I'd do some advanced stuff with you. Let's say I do want to make this look like it's an open cardboard box. All right, I can do that. If I go to this bottom corner and draw a perspective line to vanishing point 2, but have it stop here. Once I hit that edge, I'm going to stop because this wall is covering up this line. And I don't start it up again out here. There's no reason to start it up again out there. Okay, you don't have to do that because this is a cardboard box. The edge of the cardboard box doesn't continue all the way to the vanishing point. Okay. This line would line up to the vanishing point, though. It does line up all the way. Now to shade that, again, I'm going to get in here with some vertical lines. And I'm getting it pretty dark in there because this is inside of a tunnel or inside of a cardboard box. There's no light in there, so I'm going to make it pretty dark. That's going to add to the illusion. And I did verticals there. What do I do here? Well, it's supposed to be flat. It's the bottom of the box, right? It's the floor of the box. So I'm going to use this line as a guide. And all these lines, I'm kind of trying to line them up to this vanishing point over here. So I'm going to kind of copy this line. Pretty light. My shading is going to get darker. The value, the intensity is going to get darker. The value is going to get darker and darker and darker. I'm back in here. It's really dark. And I'm using a pretty hard pencil. I'm using an H pencil. So my darkest darks are pretty gray. If I really wanted to make that dark, I could use an HB or a 2B pencil and really darken that up. But again, these lines go this way. These lines go up and down. If you do that, it's going to help just add to the illusion. Okay. Went outside the lines a little bit. Hit it with my eraser. Smudge it out a little bit with my finger. And now you should get the illusion that it's like a cardboard box. This is the open side of the box here. And you don't have to do that, but that's a little advanced if you're looking for a challenge. Okay. Now, if I wanted to do that to this box, I can't really do it from the bottom because the bottom's kind of already done. I can do it from the top, though. Kind of like once you cross over that horizon line, it's like everything kind of flips or changes. So up here, if I wanted to do it, I would have to draw from the top corner of the box. So it looks something like this. Okay. So now we ripped off the front of the cardboard box, and now I can see the wall. And remember, we're always going to do that up and down. Gets lighter and lighter. But this now, I'm looking up at the roof of the box, the top of the box. Okay, so this area's got to make it flat like a ceiling. Okay, so I'm going to copy this line as a guide. Now, for me to shade that, it's really awkward. So I would want to turn my paper so I like to shade like this. I would want to turn my paper, so it's really awkward for me to do that. But I don't want to confuse anybody, so I'm gonna just leave my project taped down, and I'm just going to go in there kind of with my arm twisted up like this, and I'm going to get in there and do my shading. And see, I'm going over the line. That's okay. You can always hit that with the eraser. Get that edge real good. Darken this up. Clean that up with my eraser. And there you have it. 2-point perspective, okay? Okay, nice job today, everybody. Tomorrow, we'll continue with these boxes, and I'll show you how to do some multiple boxes that are overlapped and one behind another, and start to really build out some more space. When you start to overlap the boxes behind one another and stack them up, you can really start to get some complex stuff going on. But this was a good start, okay? Remember, only verticals and only perspectives. And then as you practice, you're going to learn when to draw a line and when not to draw a line. Okay, nice job listening and watching, gang. Remember to hit subscribe. I want to see some subscribers out there from my Buffalo Public students. Let's get some subscriptions going on that Buffalo Public Art channel. And be well and be safe out there. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.